unmixed with light. Let them blow their own trumpet.
Give them to me.
Okay, welcome to Sans Hosen 19. For anybody new or merely travelling through, I like to keep my content as informative as possible. And this is an outlet for me to not do that. And talk utter garbage.
I'm glad you reserved that for your time with me.
Yeah, no one I'd rather be talking bollocks with than you, Damian.
Well, yes, I'm not a great fond of actual knowledge, so this is probably the best place for me.
So what sort of knowledge would you say you're a fan? Just sort of like trivia knowledge, like did you know?
No. I wouldn't thrive at a pub quiz either. No.
Most Brazilian nuts are actually from Bolivia.
We both know my strength is in speculating how much shit or cum can fit in, on, or around something.
Yeah. How much shit would you expect would be needed to fill the Titanic?
I mean, how many voyages were there on the Titanic at the time of it sinking? Let's speculate.
Just one, I think.
Well, then that's a good few hundred years of shitting. I mean, granted, those Arctic waters will keep it frozen, but you'll have to keep the marine life away. The bottom feeders, they might see it as a source of nutrition. So it could be a busy life of fending it off with a trident underwater.
There's a small conspiracy theory about the Titanic, the Britannic, and the Olympic, which were all sister ships, about them changing names at the same time, at one time, to fool insurance people or something, and the idea that actually one of them sunk but the other didn't. And maybe the theory should be more like there wasn't enough ballast because it hadn't had enough time to collect all the shit in it. That's why it did so poorly against the iceberg. If it had just had a couple more voyages and let the shit accumulate, it would have had the weight behind it just to steam on through.
I mean, technically the shit will have been on the ship, just not in a toilet, just being carried around on legs.
On legs?
Well, inside the voyages themselves, of course. They were producing it, in real time.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they needed.
Oh, you got like concentrated weight. Yeah, okay. I understand now.
Yeah. You see, now I like the idea of like loads of people sweating in the engines of the ship, but instead of shoveling coal into furnaces, it's just shit. Yeah.
I mean, it's biofuel. It would technically burn. Probably not as efficiently as coal. You wouldn't get the same kind of.
You'd have to.
Energy from it.
You'd have to dry it, wouldn't you? So maybe there could be like drying racks above the engine, so they use the heat of the engine.
Well, surely they need like the energy from the sun to do that. They'd have to have like a drier environment. So top deck, above the Lido deck, you have all where the shades would be and what have you. They just pile it on top there. So it's out of eyesight, but not grotesque. But it's still every day at 3 p.m. they kind of shoo everyone off. It's like, all right, we've got to come shovel this shit off and put some fresh layings down.
like you said, it's not as efficient as coal, so everyone on this voyage is going to have 6 high fiber meals a day. Prunes, anyone?
Prunes and shredded wheat.
Would you like shredded wheat with your prunes, or would you like prunes with your shredded wheat? Oh no! Yeah, that might have been the problem.
Perhaps unlikely, but perhaps.
Yeah, that's a fairly reasonable conspiracy theory, as things go.
Do you think that's why the sub blew up? Because they were just pulling their shit and all that methane, a highly combustible gas, which is pooling in the chamber of this submarine. Someone thought, there was like an errand spark. Either someone thought to light a match for God knows what reason, to maybe expel the smell, but in doing so, it ignited all the methane.
I remember when that happened, reading all the speculation, which was fascinating, because people were saying, well, yeah, they may only have, 36 hours of air, but that's for 6 people. Like, if someone goes mad and kills the other people, they'll have loads of air. And then other people were saying, well, no, when someone dies, they release methane, and that would actually kill you quicker, and things like that.
Yeah, okay. I remember the last time we were on the phone a few weeks back, it was just kind of breaking, and I was at the shops, and a newspaper had the headline, it's like UK billionaire trapped on this maroon sub. I just would,
was he from the UK?
Yeah, that was a big deal over here. You know, it didn't mention anyone else that was on the sub. It's just this UK billionaire, fucking something like Hans Hamish, I believe his name was. It could be more tough. And I want to just take a picture of that and send it to you, and just with my little note saying "Boo fucking who." Really?
Well, yeah, but the other people.
Yeah. I believe there was a father and son on board. That's tragic that the child died, but I mean the angle they were going through was so, I thought, was repugnant. It's like, well, why are we focusing on the one dude that just has more money?
What do you mean the angle?
Well, no, I mean, when they were reporting on it, they were all, start that again. When they were reporting on it, they were just focusing on the plight of the UK billionaire in that sub. For a while, they didn't mention anyone else on board the sub. It was just that a UK national with a lot of money was in peril.
Yeah, I remember a few years ago getting annoyed at a headline that said something like 3 Olympians killed in a plane crash, and there were actually like 30 people killed in the plane crash. If you just read the headline, you'd think 3 people died. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, people very clearly...
Look at that, a rich person can die through their own folly. See, peasants?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was, it was a tourist kind of, like, trip there. Like a tourist excursion. Granted, I think to get in the sub probably cost, I don't know, like a 5-figure amount. These people weren't poor.
It cost 250 grand a person.
250 grand. Wow. Still, it's quite a wasteful use of cash. It's not like it was a scientific expedition or anything like that. It was just to be like, well, we've got all this, but we can do this. I mean, I guess you would. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, to go and see the wreck, but I don't know what I'm saying here, but.
They tried to justify it by saying that each time they went down, they would do something scientific, which I suppose would be more or less observe the decay. But also, when they went down, they couldn't see out of the sub, right? They had to have like monitors.
Okay.
So you're not even really seeing it. I mean, I don't know. Like, why do you have to personally go down there?
I don't know. I knew the company that was running it was kind of like priding themselves on being like the first agency, whatever, to do these tourist excursions to it, almost exclusive for the point of tourism. And one thing that I thought was fucking fascinating when all this news was breaking was they felt the need to interview James Cameron. And I watched his interview with him, and he's just like, well, yeah, they have shitty subs, and when I went down, I've been down like almost 40 times now, and we got the best fucking subs, and of course that was going to fail, but my subs, which I designed myself, were just fucking spotless. If they had my subs, they would have been fine. It's like, I think you're kind of overlooking the element of some harrowing human drama here. But okay, yes, your subs, you're brilliant, James Cameron. You're just fucking brilliant, whatever you do.
He's not even like selling them or anything. He's just
he's crawling up his own asshole.
So if there was ever another operation that did this sort of thing, James Cameron, would you like to get involved? No, my subs are for me. No, I'm just saying they're the best.
They're also made out of solid gold as well. Which is odd, because you think they would, suffer explosive decompression with all that pressure that far down, but no, this is Cameron gold.
It cost exponentially more to make it out of solid gold because it needed to be reinforced. It's really like 4 or 5 times heavier than it needs to be, which involves lots of systems to compensate for that. It should have cost us 400 million. It cost like 8 billion.
I mean, the
something.
reason the gold is so resilient is that I had it compressed, and I used that with vices made out of all the money I made from making from the Titanic.
I talked to the gold. Before I pressed it, I got it into coins, and I carried each one of those coins to a location important to me, special to me.
I stood over,
and then I melted that all together. It has a love in that gold.
I stood over the smelter having a stand-up wank and jizzed into the very essence of this molten gold. Now it became this super alloy that is unmatched by anything that modern science knows today.
And then as I was doing that, I put a little carbon fibre glove on my pinky, just a pinky glove. I stuck it in some like super cold gas, like some nitrous oxide or something, and then I quickly dipped that into the molten gold, and then I stuck it up my arse. So as I was coming into the gold, how much cum can you get in gold?
I mean, it depends on the vessel, really. I imagine when it comes into contact with any molten...
No, I mean, just mix in.
When it comes into contact with molten metal, I'm sure it's just gone.
Vaporized.
Yeah. But, yeah. I mean, one of the most important details is when the sub is going on its maiden voyage, he christens the vessel with champagne made from grapes that he's grown from his many vineyards. So it's Cameron champagne as well.
All of that champagne has a little bit of cum in it too.
And gold leaf. Maybe that's where the cum comes from. All the shavings, you know. When they're screwing all the, you know, they're making all they're drilling through it and putting all the divots in and what have you. All that waste material, and it's not waste, that's gold leaf. Put it in my champagne.
So now I'm thinking of, I bet no one has studied the effects of molten heat or superheat on semen. Maybe...
God.
we could set up the Cum Institute. Where people experiment with this.
Yeah, maybe. How much voltage is required to make cum explode?
Yeah, we worked out it's not so much the voltage. You've got to like hyperheat the area around it, and essentially kind of almost nebulize it, which is very dangerous for the observing parties.
What happens if you super collide cum? We split the
with
sperm.
Your nose and face.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry.
Yeah.
I think I'm spent after that. Well, you would be.
The scientist said, I need to go home and talk to my wife.
Not looking like that, you're not.
Possibly my priest. Have a shower first, yeah. Oh dear.
Do you see a shower in these facilities? Well, no, I don't. Then you have quite a pickle on your hands.
Do you remember that thing we found on Kickstarter ages ago where it was someone trying to make beer out of yeast from ladies' vaginas?
I have no. I feel I would remember this. I mean, do tell.
Well, it was that. Someone trying to raise money to start a brewery that, did that,
I mean, this is a few years ago now, so we have to find out if it, got off the ground.
I don't think it did. But
what makes you say that?
I just think that the market for that is actually quite limited.
Really? I mean, I would have said that if there was a recipe book filled with recipes you can make with cum.
Oh yeah, I forgot about your cum recipe book.
I still haven't.
You say that to you every job interview you go to. You take it with you.
Most kitchens that I've worked in always have like a space for like cookbooks and what have you. I think I've been missing a trick by not buying one for every kitchen I go to and just hiding it before I leave. Because it will be found.
Maybe do that, and maybe leaf through it a couple of times. Maybe like highlight a couple of passages.
Yeah, a couple of post-its.
Make it look like someone's used it.
Because that's
together a couple of pages.
That's a meeting with HR if there ever was one.
You mean there'd be a witch hunt to find out who had planted this cum bug?
Oh, I imagine if I were to do something like that, it would be many months after I left. So there's not going to be any CCTV footage of me snuffling this thing away back there. So they won't know. It'll always be a mystery. It just seems to identify that there's a sex pest on site.
Yes, I was going to say, I imagine you could actually kind of fuck up your career quite a bit if you did that. Do you remember when we left school, I was talking about like going back into school, like wearing a high-vis vest and unscrewing the plaque outside of the drama centre that said, this building was opened by the Right Honourable Theresa May.
Was that true?
I was gonna. Yeah, she came and opened that new part of the school before she was Prime Minister.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I think she was Education Secretary. That's why we got such great education.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, I thought I would try and take that as a gift, for myself. By stealing it.
And just putting it on the door of your bathroom.
Exactly, yeah, maybe shitting on it. Or coming on it. Just stick with shitting on it. Yeah, no, I bet I would have got into quite a bit of trouble if I got caught doing that. And surely I would have been caught.
Because you would do it during school hours.
That would be my whole plan, would be to do it during school hours and, just sort of blend in.
Hiding in plain sight, for sure.
Possibly blocking up toilets and causing a bit of a fracas, leading to a child to investigate, strangling the child or drowning the child, putting on the school uniform and seamlessly blending in.
I feel like we had this discussion like 2 months ago, and you're not really going to blend in your mid-30s now.
No, I wasn't going to do it in my mid-30s. I'm talking about when I was 18 and I left. Yeah, well, okay.
I like the fact that the thought you put into it. I'll just wear a high vis and I'll be fine.
Yeah, totally. You would see people like that all the time, walking in and out.
I've got some workman boots as well. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, you'd be fine. We'll just wear some jeans.
Yeah, draw on some stubble. It's fine.
Well, they were building F Block when we were still there at school. It ran over. And I remember there were loads of dudes in high vis who were walking around. And I remember watching one of them put in a door and they were just hammering nails. They weren't hammering nails. They were hammering screws in. And like the hinges have 3 holes for screws. They were just using one screw a hinge. So like that whole door was held on. That fire door was held on by like 3 screws.
Well, I mean, if it's a fire door, I suppose it's a good thing because there was some kind of catastrophe. That door's going down.
If it was a fire door, it was a good thing because you want to be able to rip fire doors off their hinges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For all the stampeding children.
Yeah, and you definitely want to get them whipped up into a frenzy, otherwise they might not escape in time.
But the chains they put on afterwards were very suspect, and that padlock was awful big.
So, I suppose we're beating around the cake. How much cum can you get in a cake?
Again, it depends on the cake. Now, if we want to talk like a macaron, nothing. You could probably do that in maybe 2 or 3 emissions.
A macaron?
Yeah, or macaroon, or whatever. You know what?
A macaroon?
Macaroon, yeah.
I need macaroons. I've never heard it called a macaron.
Oh, well, there you go. I'm here to enlighten you.
How much cum could you get in French Prime Minister Macron? It depends if you hollow him out first.
Yeah, I've got to stop doing that, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
My first response is always depends because I'm really putting on my thinking cap for this one. Well, give me some parameters here.
Yeah, I mean, how porous are the insides? I mean, will
he absorb the semen?
Yeah. And then if you can you fill him up fast enough?
So he's saying he's just basically a sponge.
I mean, I say even if he was a sponge,
It's
essentially,
porous. How
there would be-
porous is the French president? Now, if we put him in water, is he going to expand to like 3 or 4 times the size?
There would be a saturation point even if he was a sponge,
Saturation
and then the whole race wouldn't be, can you fill him up before he can absorb it, but can you fill him up before faster than he can leach it out onto the floors? And then are the floors porous, etc. If I'm in a big bowl, then that's not going to be a problem. But if I'm on the edge of a waterfall or something, it could go on forever.
So what should we fill him with then? Well, water's working out quite well so far. So, lads, hold on to your hats. I've got a great idea. Drop them.
No, it's perverse now that you've introduced the idea that more than one person.
Oh yeah, because that's what made it disgusting. A circle jerk.
Yeah, that's gross.
Well, I'm very sorry to have taken us to those dark places.
It doesn't have to be your cum. You could just go to the cum shop.
I was going to say boost the vet
I
or
feel
something
embarrassed
like
'cause
that. But why would
The
they?
lady behind the counter's like, "You're buying a lot of cum today." Oh yeah, I got my mixtures wrong. Got my maths wrong.
Tried to inseminate my horse, gave birth to a dog. I'm not happy.
Tried to inseminate the dog to get a horse. Didn't work that way.
No, I did
our
get a
dogs
horse.
just
I lost my
small
dog though.
Horses.
When that horse
it
was
cake?
growing in utero, you could see the legs coming out the back end. It was quite a disturbing sight. I knew that my little Daisy wasn't going to make it.
I don't even know what we're saying now. Is there a cow involved?
Well, I suppose Daisy would be more traditional. Cow's name, yeah, not a dog.
Yeah.
All right, it's Fido.
Yeah, right. Okay, good. That's made it clearer.
Okay.
Poor Fido.
He looked like he had 6 legs in the end.
Do you ever see Fido Dido knocking around?
Fido Dido.
Do you remember Fido Dido, the guy who used to advertise 7-Up?
No, I don't.
Do they still make 7-Up?
They'd make 7-Up for sure, but I don't know what the fuck a Fido Dido is.
He was the guy who used to be on the 7-Up.
Well, you can't keep saying that and it's suddenly gonna ignite something in my brain.
Okay, all right. Well, never mind then.
Is it cake? All right, here we go.
Yeah. Go on then. What is it? What is it cake? And how much did you love it?
Well, I mean, I don't often watch American television quite like this.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. I'm not even going to
Like this.
I watch TV, but
Yeah.
not these kind of reality game shows. God. All right. So, in a nutshell, people make cake. They have these expert bakers on, and they excel in making cakes and dressing them up so they look like real life objects instead of a cake. And the premise of the game show is they have to come in, make a cake, pick a couple of decoys, and see if they can fool the judges.
And identify other people's cakes. There are bakers we never see, right? Who, like at the start of the show, it's always like, which cake? What is a cake here?
Oh yes,
Which one is a cake? And we never see who's made those.
These mystery bakers in the dark. We can't know of these people.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I selected this was because obviously you started as a baker, getting up at 5 a.m. every
I
day.
didn't start as a baker. I worked for a bakery. My job was to put cookies in bags. I didn't bake shit.
That's baking. That's part of the process.
That's end game baking.
You know, when Stanley Kubrick kicks some wires, sure, he might not have been behind the camera, but that's filmmaking, Damian. You're getting Kevin Spacey his latte and getting spit at, but the joke's on him because you spat in his coffee. That's filmmaking. So I imagine you hated this show.
I did. Unsurprisingly.
How much did you watch?
I watched maybe 90% of
10
one
seconds?
episode. But I
Okay.
wasn't going to watch any further. I didn't watch it to the end. I didn't know who was going to. I didn't know who was eliminated. I was. Oh.
Well, the first season doesn't even have that element.
That wasn't available here. I just had season 2. That's what they're pimping on Netflix at the
Oh,
moment. So I just put that on straight away.
so season 1 is available on Netflix, but it's Netflix owned. That's so weird.
Different regions, different licensing, I suppose.
Well, I know that, but I thought it had been made by Netflix, and
Yeah.
then why wouldn't you have it up?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe not.
Well, I think they take these things intermittently to kind of put pressure on people to watch them, and then when these things come back, it's like, hey, this is back. Maybe you should fucking gobble this shit down for the next 12 hours
Before it
before
goes
it
away.
goes away again. You might miss it. This might be your last chance to watch it. I'm sure that's
This
part
could
of the.
be the Cadbury's cream egg of shows you like. Yeah, I mean, I think that season 2, I've got to say, I watched a little bit of season 2, and it was way better than season 1. Season 1 was some of the most bare bones shit I've ever seen.
All right. Well, I watched season 2 for about 40 minutes before I rage quit. Please tell me why this is the gold Is It Cake experience.
Season 1 doesn't have a competitive element where people are getting knocked out or eliminated.
Right, they just have to fool the judges then, is that it?
They are competing as to who will go to the next round to potentially win money.
Right.
But none of them are competitive. Everyone's like nice. There's no drama, and the sets, the studio is bare bones. You know, they've got people baking for 10 hours and then people watching them, and it's just boring. Like Top Chef is like, you've got 45 minutes to make this. People are rushing around doing shit. Is It Cake is not like that. Is It Cake is very boring. There's no information at all about how they're making cakes or what ingredients they have or their strategies really or anything. All the contestants are nice but boring. It's just garbage.
But apparently season 2 has really hooked you. So you like this this idea of a competitive element, turning Is It Cake into blood sport?
I'm not saying I like that. I'm saying that makes more sense for a
I'm
game
fairly
show.
certain you said that.
Where like, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, a blood sport. I was actually thinking, is it cum?
And did you ever find out, was any of it cum? Because that's one thing I was speculating would be really fun. When they'd have that first room and they, like, what is cake here? And they've got to, if they just cut into different things and they're all different types of food, the game actually became like, is it salted cod? Is it raw liver? Like you cut into the ottoman, and once you peel through the fondant and what have you, all these entrails just spill out.
Yeah, okay. I do like that. Like, is it a chair? Actually, it's carefully grafted lobster that we've shaped and painted.
It's been pressure cooked and compressed and formed into this Ottoman-style mold. You won't believe it, but 120 lobsters died to make the stubble.
And we have made sure that with all of the structural chemicals we've put in to make sure it maintains its shape, that it will be inedible forever. We can't even dispose of this in the normal trash. We have to technically burn it.
We need a nuclear toilet for this one.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I watched it is because
There's nothing left.
yeah. Well, I saw it. Christina and I saw it on TV, and she's the sort of person who will see something like that and think, "Oh, I wonder what the reviews on IMDb are." Whereas I don't give a shit about that. But anyway, they were funny. They were mostly people saying, "What the fuck is this show? This is bargain basement rubbish at its best." A few people were even saying like this is a like death knell for American culture, which I thought was funny.
Well, you've really painted quite a lovely picture of the first season. I have to track this down now, because all I saw was just quite a typical super saccharine American game show.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It doesn't make me angry or anything. Um, but I think that what made the first one so interesting was it was so low effort in terms of production.
Right.
Especially the host. He seemed like completely unprepared every time he spoke. I bet you loved him. Did he remind you of Inky Jones?
No,
Do you remember?
no, I remember, but I didn't get an Inky Jones vibe.
Yeah, right, okay.
Hang on. No, I'm thinking of Inky Jones. Oh man, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Can we pause just so I can kind of re-jog my memory?
Well, yeah, Inky Jones is a comedian we accidentally saw when Skinner bought tickets to a comedy show, and it was in a hotel. Do you remember? And the three of us went,
Yeah.
and it was like in a what would you call it? Like in a conference room, like not at all like a comedy show, in a conference room with like hotel conference chairs,
Yep.
and it had two sets of like really powerful like dance hall lights, like just beaming at the audience. And this guy, Inky Jones, came out, and it was like the worst set I've ever seen. And then we found out later that what his whole thing was, he personally rented out that place every Friday and Saturday
Right.
night, and he would get people to leaflet Leicester Square, which is not where the hotel was.
Right.
Leicester Square, where all the tourists are, because the Leicester Square is where all the comedy clubs are. So he'd get people to leaflet, like, 50% off. It was 50% off every fucking night. And in return, he wouldn't pay those people. He'd let them have a 5-minute set.
Oh man, yeah. This will.
Yeah,
Sounding
and they
familiar.
were unbelievably shit. I mean, obviously.
Yeah. So I googled a couple of images and it all kind of came back, but the first search was Inky Jones loses 3.5 million bankruptcy case. Inky Jones, the comedian
What?
the comedian who runs what is largely considered the worst comedy club in London, has lost a 3.5 million case against the tax man.
When was that?
2019, I think it said it was.
Wow. I haven't looked up Inky Jones since 2019.
Yeah,
Holy
sorry,
shit.
I like pushed that out of my mind. This guy, and moved
Yeah,
the fuck
no, I don't
on.
blame you. Oh, of course. Okay, sorry. Move the fuck on. Whereas I've been wrapped up with Inky Jones.
No,
Every
this is
day
quite a
is
blast,
new Inky
actually.
Jones.
I wish
Yeah.
I remembered quite how shit he was, in all fairness.
He was dreadful and like pretty aggressive. And I remember talking to that comedian who briefly worked with us. And he told me like, oh, that guy's an absolute dickhead. And I remember we looked him up, and there were loads of negative reviews on places like Chortle about how like aggressive he was with like audience members, and like how like there was like sets where he'd like get angry for no reason and stuff, and people thought it was weird. But what made us really latch onto him was we looked at his Wikipedia, which he bizarrely had. And it said all this like PR-y stuff, and we looked into the discussions on his Wikipedia, and we could tell that he was the one writing it because he'd talked to the admins about putting up his screenshot, and they'd taken his his headshot.
Yeah.
They'd taken his headshot down because they said it was copyrighted, and he was saying in the discussions on Wikipedia like, "I own it. I'm Inky Jones." And it was just hilarious, this back and forth. And then one of us might have started changing his Wikipedia every other week.
What was this person saying?
Ranges from little... Oh, I actually remember this. This comes flooding back. Oh, my God. Something like... I put in loads of quotes, like... I put one quote which was something like... Inky Jones is the finest comedian of his generation. He's on the very bleeding edge of comedy. The Damien Benedict.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then I did another one with our friend Skinner, who we went with, and I put something like, "It make me go laugh, laugh." Yay. The David Skinner times. Things like that. Just antagonistic things. Or then I wouldn't change anything. Or whoever... Sorry, not me. I wasn't doing this. And then whoever was changing it wouldn't do anything. And then, like, not do anything for ages. And then just go in and just write... Just do one change. And it'd be like, Inky Jones is a dreadful comedian. And then I'd wait and see how long it took him to change it, because I wouldn't have to like wait, like go back and change. I could just go back in a month and see. Mm-hmm. And he'd always change it like in a day. Like he was on it every day, like checking it.
Well, I'm sure he's notified changes, right? But
yes, I suppose so. I suppose he had a Google alert on for his own name.
What?
Oh, is that bad? I suppose so.
Well, apparently, yeah, he's doing some dodgy shit. So, and he had a reputation for being a cunt. So, he's done. He's been done for quite a while.
Oh yeah. I mean, he wasn't just a terrible comedian. He was, an exploiter.
For sure.
It emerged. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Well, there you go. Yeah, no problem.
I haven't thought about that in years.
Oh, and yeah, I remember as well the headshot he was trying to use. It was him at like 22.
Oh yeah. I saw that come up as well. He looks like what's his fucking face from Green Day? It's just like, and you see like other pictures of him. It's like this isn't the same dude, surely. And like that's what he was always pimping, that picture.
Yeah, because when we saw him, he had like inky black hair, and it really looked like he'd spray painted it on. Like not his hair, he had hair, but it really looked like he'd spray painted his hair.
Yeah, that's just ink.
Yeah,
a lot of broken biros behind this backstage.
Yeah, just sucking out Parker pens.
You never checked his teeth, did you? But that would have been the tell.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, anyway.
Oh, wordplay. Because his name was Inky. I didn't even think about that. I'm smarter than I thought.
Yeah. He could have called himself Spiky Jones.
Spiky Jones? With some other type of legal trouble that would chase him.
I've decided to... Apparently there's someone else called Spiky Jones, so I've decided to rename myself Clint Eastwood. Yeah, anyway, I'm not saying that the host is at all like that. He just reminded me in that I'm sorry to kind of go on about him. He's not done anything wrong, but he just seemed to have a very weird combination of being overconfident and also terrible.
So presumably it's the same presenter, right? Mikey Day, I believe his name was.
In the first and second seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they brought him back.
Well, how could you dispense with someone as exuberant as that?
Well, it was kind of funny at first, because in the first season, he kind of makes out at the beginning like he's like a circuit comedian somehow who was offered this and was like, yeah. And like he doesn't pretend to give a shit about cakes.
Also knowing full well he's never going to work on the circuit ever again.
Oh no, have you seen the circuit? He'll work on the circuit. All you need is a fucking heartbeat and a mouth.
Fucking hell.
I'm not talking about like the Patton Oswalt circuit. I'm not talking about, people.
No, I know that, but goddamn, did that sound scathing.
Well, it's true. You've seen it.
I have, yeah, but I haven't heard it expressed quite like that.
I mean, if you got rid of alcohol sales in those places, they would die.
Well, yeah, for sure. And obviously bouncers that turn a blind eye to whatever might be in people's pockets as they come in.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
What do you mean?
Oh, they're like some of those places can be like drug havens for sure.
Oh, like you mean like Coke?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh right, okay. I didn't think of that. Would you? Yeah, right. Would that make comedy funnier, like being coked up? I don't
I
know.
don't know. It's not. I've not.
I think I prefer the other way, and get something that chills me out for comedy.
I
Maybe I'd be taking a line of caffeine. I don't support the use of Coke or Pepsi in like a nightclub or something. But really, I didn't know that.
Although, I mean, my experiences going to comedy clubs, I would think that's the last thing that I personally would enjoy because it could be nerve wracking being in those places sometimes.
Oh, in case you get picked on.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always make sure I sit a little bit further back. I don't want to be in harm's way. But when someone's heckling or someone's bombing, and it becomes an icy environment, it's just really uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The first open mic night I ever went to with Homunculus when he was trying. Oh God, yeah, he was trying to become a comedian and got me to write all this shit, this 5 minute fucking set, and we went to an open mic night and with it, and he won somehow. He was very good at delivering it, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, he was funny, but he didn't really want to be a comedian. He wanted to be famous, I suppose, but whatever. Anyway, the first set, the first person selected to go up was really nervous, and everyone was supportive. But like in 30 seconds, this nervousness came into like he didn't really have a set. He was just like raving about how much more funny he was than Michael McIntyre.
Right.
And it was really weird and uncomfortable. And the guy looked weird, and you kind of realized it wasn't a bit. But some of the other sets I went to were really good.
Yeah.
Like I remember this guy doing like a really like angry set where he's talking about beating up his school bully by accident and like screaming in his face about like those were my beans. Being really good. But yeah, I remember that first guy, and it was kind of like, yeah, like you said, icy.
Yeah, I mean, first experience I had of someone bombing. I was in one of the TV audiences for Hammersmith at the Apollo, live at the Apollo at Hammersmith.
Yeah.
And the first two acts were really good. And the last guy, I forget his name, but I've seen him on TV subsequent to that, and I actually tracked down that performance, and I'd watched a lot of that live at the Apollo on TV, and what I learned is there's a lot in the fucking editing, because this last guy, absolutely fucking so he had this weird kind of aggressive vibe to him, and he was just doubling down on this joke that was going nowhere. English guy, yeah.
Okay. And you can't remember who it was?
Not right now. I can maybe.
But not super famous.
No, not
like
super
Frankie
famous.
Boyle.
No.
No, right. Okay.
I mean, the two that preceded him have gone on to be relatively famous, at least in England.
Right.
They're doing well, but this guy, I've seen him, bit parts in, not even like sitcoms or anything, like just like acting.
Oh, right.
And it was bad, and it's just like he knew it wasn't working, and he was kind of like resentful of the audience for that. And
what was the joke?
The punchline was "That's Hawkwood," a portmanteau of hawk, the bird, and awkward, and he just kept setting up different ways that someone would say that.
That's Hawkwood.
Hawkwood, yeah. And I can't remember any of the setups, but I just remember the punchline, because every time everyone just kind of sighed. And after a certain point, I just saw people getting up and leaving, and the environment was that, me and my date at the time was like, we should just fucking bounce as well, because this is the last act of the night. It's not getting any better. Let's all leave. And as we got up to leave, I was on like the upper balcony. I looked down below, and just people are just flooding the fuck out. It was
wow.
Yeah, it was done. And when I started watching Live at the Apollo years later, or online streaming it, what have you. So
They did not show that.
yeah, I mean, I was just binging it, but then I just thought, hang on, I was there. Why don't I find out the one that I was at? And it's like, okay. So I got to see this, the two acts that I liked, and I think the MC was good as well. And it showed this guy at the end. And yeah, he's doing it's Hawkwood thing, but a lot of the canned laughter is kind of selling it. And then I didn't realize I left halfway through his set. And I didn't. What came after was just fucking baffling. Even though, like, most of the audience was leaving, part of his bit was getting a member of the audience up on stage and like serenading them. And God, man, I knew that it was fucking painful when I left. I dread to think what that was like after I'd gone.
What did it look like in the edit then? Like, could you see people leaving?
No, they didn't show the audience. It was just the stage.
Right.
And yeah, the canned laughter the canned laughter just kind of filled in the gaps, and you know, it just looked like it was a successful show. But what I saw was very fucking different, and I'd watched quite a lot of those, and I know that the first two acts are good, but I wonder how many of those on there were absolute fucking train wrecks and are just saved in the edit.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you remember when we went to see Dave Gorman?
Oh, that was at the same place, yeah.
Yeah, it was in the same place.
His big thing was doing everything on PowerPoint. Oh,
yeah,
right on the edge there.
Do you remember the guy who opened?
Oh yes, the musical comedian with the guitar was fucking awful.
Yeah, not a good one. Not Bill Bailey.
No.
Yeah.
No, just some like scrawny teenager. He's like done it for a couple of months. He might be a bit sharper now, but
I don't really have to have any jokes at all because you people will laugh when I sing it all. Ha 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 ha.
I hate.
I've never been more annoyed at an audience I've been in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this isn't funny. We should be fucking storming that stage.
Yeah, it's just something that I've always resented. Like, what comedy?
People laughing.
Comedy with music,
you.
Because as you say, it's just it's a crutch. It's a novelty.
Bill Bailey does it well.
Some people do, but for the most part, I've seen loads of these things, not actually on the stage. This was the only time I've seen something like that on stage. But all of them are just like super lazy. It's like, you didn't expect to hear something like this in a song, did you? So therefore it's funny.
Come, I talk about come. I mean, it's it's not just stand-up, is it? It's the same in, Family Guy and The Simpsons. Yeah. Let's just put a musical number in. Well, we've got like 7 or 8 kind of shit jokes, but they won't be shit with some music.
Yeah, with music behind it, we can pad out 3 to 4 minutes. We just write 3 verses to a joke, but it's always the same joke.
Yeah, we will labour it. Come. Is it cake? Do you think that... That's it, that's my question.
Do you think that?
Yeah.
I think, I do think that, actually, yeah. All those sentiments therein.
Could you make it good? I mean, would you...
I could make it more accessible for myself. I don't think I would make it good.
Well, how would you make it more accessible? Because I was thinking, a lot of the problem is that what they're trying to do is kind of impressive, but loses its sheen very quickly. Like, some of the cakes genuinely look like whatever they're meant to be, like bread or grapes and things like that.
I was quite impressed with the episode that I watched, and someone had baked a cake to look like a Dungeness crab, and they managed to fool the judges with that one. And I picked the wrong one as well. It's actually, it looked really good. But the real world application for those kind of skills outside of a game show like this, I fail to see what they are. It's
well, no, I mean, but what's the real world applications of Wheel of Fortune?
I suppose so. Well, I mean, we're talking about celebrating like a trade and skill set, or what have you. I mean, obviously, it's a novelty that people enjoy.
I don't have a problem with the idea. It just needs, it's just not a TV show. You need something more to it. Perhaps. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I was.
Oh, people like cake shows, so whatever.
I was speculating on, more punishments. I think that, like I said in that first room when they have to kind of identify stuff, they should have had other types of food in there as well.
Yeah.
And every time they pick wrong, they have to eat whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah.
So if they're eating 2 kilos of raw liver, they still have to carry on. And the show is not about whether the cake is going to be is going to fool the judges or not. It's just if these people are going to make it over the finishing line. The only adjustments they've made to the set is they now have like this kind of grate throughout the kitchens where all the vomit is sluiced out as they go.
So they make it like fair. Like you don't have to guess. There are a number of objects in this mock-up of a kitchen, or wherever we are, mock-up of a lounge. There are a number of objects that are cakes. If you select one, you win 10 grand. If you select the wrong one, you have to eat it. You don't have to select anything, but then you have to eat it. So it's like, I think the Ottoman. Is it cake? No, it's not. Come on then, get fucking eating it.
We'll give you one of those electric steak knives to help you along.
Here's some sandpaper.
For the legs. That wood can be tough.
Do you remember Banzai?
Mm-hmm.
On Channel 4 you do. How would you explain Banzai?
I didn't remember it. It's sort of like a reality gaming show with just a very angry Japanese man just screaming at people.
Yeah, like a fake Japanese gambling show, which didn't actually want you to gamble on anything, but it looked very much like it did. But all the stuff it was gambling on, I remember one in particular, where it was, these two guys are going to compete to drink like 1.5 liters of ketchup.
Ooh.
How long will it take? Under 30 seconds, under 1 minute 30, over 1 minute 30, something like that.
Yeah.
And then they got a little spiel about how both of them I'm a competitor, I'm going to defeat the other guy. I'm really into ketchup. I love ketchup. I have ketchup with everything. And then they start going, and these guys both get through like a fifth of that amount of ketchup, and they just start turning green and like realizing like that is a lot of ketchup to eat. It's just to eat. And it gets to like 2 minutes 30. Like, so the people who've betted have won. Yeah. There's only one. Yeah. No, you've got to finish it all. It's who can, how long will it take you to eat? If you don't finish eating it, the game's not over. And they just make them eat it. And it took them like 10 minutes.
God almighty. I mean...
Yeah, and it's like 3 shots, like going from 1 camera to 2 camera to 3 camera to 1 camera of just these guys struggling to eat this ketchup.
With tears in their eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, surely you'd have to sign like a medical release form for that as well. Because that's going to put you into diabetic shock pretty quickly.
Ketchup. Yeah. Would you rather eat 1.5 liters of ketchup or HP?
I'm more of a brown
A1?
sauce man myself. I'm
No,
I'm English, so I'm not familiar with A1 sauce. I know you have it with steak.
So yeah, we both know that actually your choice would be mayonnaise. Right? I bet you could eat a jar of mayonnaise.
I mean, what, in a single sitting or like over the course?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be done. I wouldn't enjoy it. I would
Not only in a single sitting, over the course of 30 seconds.
I wouldn't live well with myself after I'd done that deed.
I bet you'd feel it straight away on your thighs and hips.
I'd feel it in the indigestion for sure. I bloat like a mother. How big's this jar?
I mean, it's one of those like pub jars.
Oh man, no.
You're gonna have to eat it with a wooden spoon to get the bottom of it.
What about when I get to the bottom of the jar and I've already hurled, right? So most of that mayonnaise is not inside me. Do I still have to go around? And particularly when when you're finishing off a jar, you have that tricky bit around the lid that you, like a spoon or a fork, and the knife can't really reach. How thorough do I have to be with that? Or can I just leave that alone?
Have you vomited into the jar because you need to get that out? I mean, I suppose most of that vomit will just be mayonnaise. So.
Most of that vomit's probably going to be in the jar, probably
blood.
around me as well. It's probably in my socks at this point.
Yeah, the bit under the lid. I mean, I think that the rules could be, you have to get enough out of it that if you turn the jar down and give it a good smack on the bottom, no mayonnaise will come out and hit the floor.
So if it's on the floor, do I have to take a spoon to that as well?
If you're on the floor, you get penalised. You have to eat a whole new jar.
God, it never ends.
Start from the beginning. So you better make sure that you're confident. Like, you better hope you're not in too hot a room, and the mayonnaise doesn't become runny.
Do you remember our mutual acquaintance talking about how he was going to drink a pint of Tabasco on April Fools at school? And he was like
Mutual acquaintance. The amount of times you passed out on his couch.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun to drink with him. But...
He said he was going to drink, a pint of Tabasco sauce, did you say? And then it turned out it wasn't Tabasco sauce, it was ragu. Is that right?
I don't remember that. Yeah, I mean, that would probably have been how he copped out of that. But I missed out on it because I think he slated his stunt during a lesson or something like that he'd kind of just wiggled out of. And he invited everyone up to that second cafeteria area where the paws went.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was where Meals on Wheels was.
Yeah.
And I suppose so.
There. Meals on Wheels, Jesus.
And for £1 you get that microwave hot dog. We ate so many of
I
those.
thought it was $1.50.
Was it $1.50? I don't know. I know it was the cheaper option. I never actually went through the canteen with the line and the tray. Even if you got pizza that day. No idea what they served in that fucking thing. I maybe went through once. No idea.
Pizza and sausage sandwiches, which had real sausages rather than the microwave wieners they were throwing at us.
Throwing at us?
Like we're Lindsay fucking Ellis.
Why are we trying to catch them with our mouths then? Because we were hungry, bitch.
We don't want to hit them floor.
I'm not eating
dinner.
Floor wiener.
That's gross. Air wiener's fine. Yeah, they were grim.
They were grim.
I think the vegetarian option was literally just a hot dog bun.
It was the same thing. It's like, there was never any meat in this. This is just old cheese. It's formed of skin.
No, they would have been way better if they had been no meat in, because that would have been like some bespoke vegetarian thing. Ours had meat in. Bad meat.
From unidentifiable animals. And it was a blend
meat
for
that
sure.
Cats don't want. Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been better. It would have been better if we just got those weird watery buns with just like a cheese string in it or something. I'm sure it was a lot healthier.
A cheese string.
I still put ketchup on it.
I mean, you'd have to get some calories. Yeah. Well, we mostly ate out, didn't we?
Yeah, we mostly went to the fucking Sainsbury's. I just waited for a couple of other of our friends to overbuy donuts and then just give me freebies.
Yes, we had a particularly fat friend who would buy, literally 2 gallons of milk to eat at lunch.
And a whole pack of biscuits.
And then, I don't know, I guess, feel full for some reason.
Inexplicably.
Yeah, it's not like he could have bought a smaller amount of milk. I never really understood that. Yeah.
No, it's
Whatever.
one of the great mysteries.
A whole pack of biscuits and then just throw it and go Oddjob as he was throwing it, because that's what Oddjob did. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, I suppose I ate donuts every day for lunch for years, but just donuts, nothing else.
Yeah, and you know, I remember I would buy one of those baguette sandwiches.
Oh yeah.
It was really saying, like, I didn't realise it at the time, but it's saying something, isn't it? When one of those, which would just be, it would be like chicken, tomato, and lettuce.
Yeah.
That was like $2.50, but 5 donuts were 50p.
Yeah. It was clearly the superior choice.
I mean, you know, yeah. I bet they're not that cheap now, though, are they?
At least a couple of quid for sure. $2.50 maybe.
Jesus, that's not in line with inflation.
Oh, sorry, about £6 then.
6 quid. Yeah. Well, anyway, I think that they should have jazzed up Is It Cake by having, like, the entire Houses of Parliament turn out to be cake.
They have to make
And
the
things
monolith
like that.
from 2001.
They've got like a behind the scenes video, and then someone like stabs Stanley Kubrick, and he's cake. But I just saw him moving. Yeah, we quickly cut away and replaced him with cake.
That's
Yeah.
TV magic, people.
Yeah, I don't know. It was missing something. Like it would have been better if the whole idea was just everyone works together to do like an incredibly elaborate cake every episode. Where you can stand inside it, sort of thing.
Or maybe perhaps the judges are compelled to eat if they pick the cake, they have to be compelled to eat all of the cake. So if it's like a cake that's like a bowl of mangoes and there's an actual bowl of mangoes, they're like, I'd rather eat the bowl of mangoes.
Well, and then they get the choice.
Well, they have to pick in earnest what they think is the cake, but they're secretly rooting
To eat normal stuff, just
stuff.
to get some non-cake
slipper.
food in their body.
because at least it's less sugar. And the judges are all diabetic, so there's a real element of danger here. Don't worry.
Clearly, the show should have.
We have your insulin on hand, but it's suspended from a rope 20 feet above your position. Now, after you've eaten the cake, using a nice little dinette with 6 chairs, you need to find a way up there.
That's the show. The show is Get Your Insulin.
Toxic shock is what it's called.
Oh, I was going to say. Okay, I want
Is
to
it
go back
all
to this, 'cause I was
failure?
going to say that the show should have been how much cum is in this lasagna. And it's just people estimating how much cum is in a lasagna and disagreeing over that.
The right guess is off the hook. Everyone else has to eat it. Bonus points for what animal it came from. And everyone has to wear lab coats while they do this as well.
Oh yeah, and this was actually filmed in like 2008, so there's some issue because it's only a microwave lasagna. People get really uppity. They're like, "Is there horse meat in this cum lasagna?"
Not just meat. Your job is to ascertain the volume.
How much horse meat is in it? How much spit is in it?
How much lips and thighs of a donkey's in there as well.
I've got to say as well, those cakes, they look beautiful, sure. They don't look that tasty.
They look pretty dry.
Yeah,
I suppose they would have to
they'd
be.
have to be.
To be structurally sound in some cases.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean, how much weight can a cake support?
Not a lot, I imagine. They can, I mean, they're only. I mean, some of them are. I've seen a little bit more elaborate with their kind of affectations, but they really only need to support the weight of fondant icing on top.
Natalie Portman's hair in The Phantom Menace. It's cake.
No, it's not. And they're just cleaving through her skull. Whoops.
Yeah. I don't know what else could possibly be cake.
Well, this shows me
Yeah.
that anything can be cake. I'm starting to question my own reality here. I'm worried about my
Well,
coffee
yeah, but
table. There are a few teeth marks in it now.
I mean, not really, because once they show you the close-ups, it's kind of obvious usually.
Yeah.
And I spotted that ottoman at 200 feet.
Yeah.
It was very out of place.
It looked very puddingy.
Yeah, no, they should get into more specific objects as well, like I don't know, like camera lenses. Ooh, like maybe a draft of the Constitution. Which one of these is real? That'd be hard to do.
I suppose so. But they're not being tested on their penmanship, so it seems a little unfair. A little unfair. Pardon me.
The back of the Constitution, then.
A piece of paper, then.
Yeah, an old piece of paper.
So it's just rice paper. I mean, everyone's going to win that.
No, I love that. Like, which one of these boxes of tools is a cake? They do kind of do stuff like that, but it's never that good. Yeah. Which one of these 2-bedroom houses with a box of tools in it is a cake?
Well, you know, these could be shoo-ins for season 3. Yeah, the kaiju contest where they have to make these huge pieces.
Shoe-in, that could be a whole episode. That's a funny name for an episode. Shoe-in. Whose shoes that they're wearing on their feet is cake. It's someone with burn marks all around their ankles. Because we had to bake it on.
All that fondant icing was put in pre-oven as well. So it's just caramelizing around their ankles. It's almost fused to the bone at this point.
Like the person it is, like has to be like rooted to the spot. Like basically, like
they all come in wheelchairs.
In with fondant. So they're all just stood there like really awkwardly, like Tin Man. They all come in wheelchairs. Yeah. So amongst these people, we've got 4 people who are able-bodied and 1 person who did lose their legs in childhood and doesn't have any legs. Whose legs are cake?
Oh no!
Whose false eye is made out of cake?
Are we going to test using this pencil?
It's just a profiterole.
You seem to be weeping a little dairy cream there, buddy. Is everything okay?
Is that jelly? It's blood. Yeah, maybe that would be better. Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
I definitely think this is a nice segue into the next bit. Toilet cake.
Ooh, now you got my attention.
That'd be a challenge because you'd have to have a cake capable of bearing a bit of toilet water, right?
I suppose so.
The
Yeah,
judges
it can be.
Open the bowl. You're going to have manufacture a bowl somehow, perhaps using dowels, and have water in the bottom of the. Maybe you need a flush mechanism too. If they're going to try and flush it,
or maybe they. Well, I mean, they still. Well, the mechanism would be quite impressive. But if they don't have like an actual bowl inside, maybe they have to develop some kind of hydrophobic coating, so it doesn't become waterlogged.
Cake sprockets, cake ballasts, however toilets work, tiny little cake cogs and a little toilet man pulling levers.
So the contest becomes less about it looking like a believable cake, but it has to be an operational machine.
It has to be an operational toilet.
All these little gears have to be capable of at least 1 rotation to qualify. And after they just mince up after that, it's fine. But 1 rotation is all it needs. Every gear.
Oh, so you're saying it could be any household object, like you could make a blender. It has to work for at least 10 seconds.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And blend.
Yeah. I think you would maybe not every household object. Modern stuff has a lot of very small and delicate parts, but definitely clockwork kind of mechanisms. I think would be the way to go. I think could be done. The finale would be like
Maybe,
a clock or something.
a pasta maker.
Pasta maker. I mean, you could definitely do that. I don't know if it would work. Yeah. It wouldn't be able to
obviously
press any pasta, but it might be able to rotate.
Well, okay, then if you want something more realistic, a George Foreman grill. You've got to make it with like a working plug out of cake, and part of the cake will have to get hot, and you've got to make a burger on it.
Everyone just serves up raw burgers that are really sugary.
That have icing like seared into the sides.
Now, this contest is a bit of a jib, so we'll actually lend some heating elements that we've cut out of an electric blanket. That's what's going to be your grill. Now, you have to make it look like the grill, but this can be wedged underneath.
I saw someplace a couple of dentists, when they got married, they got a toothpaste wedding cake.
I mean...
Like where it was iced with toothpaste.
Oh, why? Why would you do that?
Madness. Contempt for the guests.
Yeah, I was about to say. I mean, would peppermint or spearmint frosting, perhaps. Was it actually toothpaste?
Well, even then, I mean, do you want a peppermint frosted cake?
Good point.
Maybe a mint choc chip cake.
I thought it was just going to be a cake that was like a giant tube of toothpaste or something.
Yeah,
that's more.
But it was a normal cake, but shaped like that. To a whale of a wife. I like to think you got that made.
Bespoke.
Anyway, yeah.
That wasn't store-bought.
Any toilet news?
Alas, no.
We've come to expect it now.
I'm not in employment anymore, so I'm not in contact with any suspicious toilets.
So are you starting a new job soon?
Next couple of weeks, yeah.
You'll have to tell us all about their toilets.
I will do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I only had a cursory inspection on my trial there, but everything seemed to have been in order.
Oh, yeah, did you take your shit in their toilets on your trial?
No, but
yeah, that was a one flusher. Very good.
Low flow. I'm not sure I'm going to take this job. Not for 36K.
Your ablutions leave much to be desired.
Now let's talk money. I think you can do better for low flow.
Yeah.
I'm not a too-flush man. I hope you understand what this means. I will leave a floater if necessary. I don't have the time.
Yeah, but I thought a low flow, you just hold the button when you have a shit.
I've encountered...
It's not like you can't flush.
Well, I've encountered mechanisms that don't operate that way. I've encountered some that do, but my experience is no. It's just you press the button, hope for the best. Holding it down is just like... It's just hoping against all hope. No, I have to stay in here, wait until the system fills up again, and do it, and shame flush a second time, and then greet my dinner guests when I come out. So, I'm sorry you had to hear that.
I'm sorry you had to hear my wrist rattle around the U-bend. I should have taken my watch off before I did that.
I didn't bring my lucky toothbrush. I'm sorry.
I didn't bring my lucky toilet. Yeah, that's crazy. I think you're doing it wrong.
What am I doing wrong? Selecting jobs or flushing toilets?
Yeah, like why do you have to flush it twice? See, you said you didn't have any toilet news, but here we are.
Well, sometimes it's not all gone.
Do you ever have to... Really? Okay. Do you block it then?
Sometimes it's just not enough force, and there is residual matter.
There's no blocking it.
No,
it's just
no.
Getting it around that U-bend.
No. My diet's terrible. It's always liquid shit. I just have to keep flushing until the water's clear.
You need to put a coating of toilet paper over it then.
Over what,
So
sorry?
it's like a great big chocolate Weetabix. That flush down.
So what,
Sorry,
shit
yeah.
in the floor,
No,
put it together,
no.
make it look like a turd, put it in the toilet, call everyone in. It's like, hey guys, look, I'm still a normal
That's what
human
I said,
being.
Yeah.
And
No,
then we
I'm
have a big
talking about when you
ceremonial
bring-
flush
Yeah, that is what you
We all
do.
hold a
Something like
candle.
that.
while I wash my
And by
hands.
flush, I mean what we'll do is we'll all get our faces as close as physics will allow for us to crowd our faces in, and we'll all blow at the same time, and it will be a pneumatically flushed toilet.
I mean, there is like
Yeah.
a screw. You can actually wind this toilet up, guys. You don't need to blow. It's fine. But I suppose that's part of the tradition.
You could patent that. That's something. If you could patent something with a power selector on a toilet, so you could give it the old ultra flush.
Well, there are toilets with like 2 buttons. It's like one's for a piss and one's for a shit. It's like one's for a small
but that's
shit
an overflow
and
toilet.
one's for one of my shits. one's for meatloaf night.
You know, I think I've mentioned this before to you, no doubt, because we do like talking about cum and shit. I know someone who, or I knew someone who would go for a shit once a week.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I'll never get tired of this story.
That's the story. That's it. That's the end.
And he'd be in there for 3 hours on a Sunday
1
afternoon.
You'd miss all of Heartbeat. Again, I think I said that at the time as well.
But you catch the tail
Because
end
it
of
was-
Holby City.
It was 7 to 8. No, it was before Holby. I think he tried to get it done before Holby City.
Imagine my embarrassment.
Yeah, he's got to keep up with that. But yeah, Is that what you're doing? Is that why you're having such thunderous shits?
Very potato-heavy diet of late, yes, for sure. And
Of late.
of late,
And what are you doing? Just eating raw potatoes?
yes. I mean, I'm unemployed, so got to keep the costs down. It's
Okay, so
an
what, you're
80%
eating
potato diet. Sometimes I'll grind it up. Some salad cream.
Ground potatoes. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, pestle and mortar, 2 hours. It's not an easy task.
Oh, I thought you meant more like minced. Like you could do like a bolognese, but instead of having like minced meat, you've got minced potatoes. That'd be awful.
Yeah, it would.
Put a bit of cold tuna in there, you got it. A bit of fridge cold rice as well to really, really make it like impossible to swallow it.
But you say that after, the day after, when you put it in the fridge and this potato ragu is set, you just cut that up into cubes or what have you, and you've got a pretty tasty snack on the go. You know you do.
You got yourself a steak. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, do you know, Skinner has blocked my toilet twice. Like, twice in 2 years.
Which 2 years?
Not recently.
Okay.
Yeah, not recently.
He's
but,
blocked them for 2 years, or in a 2 year. 2 instances
For
spanning
2
a 2 year period.
Well, again, I've told this one before, but I remember at the same time, it was in student halls. Someone I knew blocked their toilet and told management, and they said, "Yeah, we'll get on it." And they didn't get on it for like 3 days, and they were like, and yeah, I remember going to their kitchen, their shared kitchen, and saying to them, "Can I use your bathroom?" And him explaining this and saying, "So you can use it, but do you want to?" Now I've said it, I'm like, "Yeah, I just need a piss." I go in there and it's like up to the rim with shit and toilet paper. And I said, "What? Why is it like that?" And he said, "Well, I've got no other toilet. I've been shitting on shit." I always remember that phrase, shitting on shit. Oh.
Yeah, I mean...
At least give him some sawdust or something.
Yeah, I remember one of the staff bathrooms I've known had like an out of order sign on it. And it's like, well, I mean,
No,
I'm at a loss for time here, and I'm not going to go through the dining hall to get to the customer toilets. I'll chance it. And you go in, and you see, I saw, it's just filled up, right? But My mind went through several calculations in an instant. It's like, I can stomach the smell for 20 seconds. I can see that the water level is still half an inch below the rim of the bowl, so I still have
I can
space
do it.
to kind of drop my load and still not be afoul of the floor. Job done.
just desperately needed to come in a toilet.
And I'm not going to...
So,
we can't...
was it full of shit?
Of course it was full of shit and piss and God
Well,
knows
didn't you worry that like pissing into it would cause splashback? Well, I suppose you only work in a kitchen.
No, I hovered
serving
over
the
it
general
and dropped
public.
a deuce,
What
my
do you care?
friend. I pinched out a
No, you
steaming
didn't.
chud.
No, you didn't. Really?
Yes. And then,
Well, how did you know that the hair on your ass wasn't going to pick up some of the water?
because I wasn't sat on the toilet seat, I squat over it, hovered over it.
Well, you must have been very desperate to do that.
And a little
Rather
bored.
than use a normal toilet. Right, yeah, you get so bored you decide to like shit in a bizarre way on a terrible toilet.
I have a thorough
You said
hand
as well,
washing
one was out of
technique,
order.
so it doesn't matter what shit I crawl through. I will come out
Yeah, well, you're gonna-
unscathed.
Gonna have to wash like your entire body and clothing.
I mean,
You need heat lamps or something, or UV lamps.
like some kind of chemical burn shower.
You need like someone to bake something on you. That'll get it off.
Like a cake on my feet.
Yeah.
I mean, the real dire moment is after the deed was done, I turned back and I'd look, and there's a moment where I realised I can set fire to the world right now if I just flush that toilet, and it just erupts.
And just run. Or are you saying it would be like the beginning of Prometheus with the blue David Cameron dropping the nano poison and like himself sacrificing himself to do that? You would just be enveloped by the turd explosion.
Oh no, I definitely
I mean,
fucking cut and run for sure. But I just wanted
You'd
to
have to.
stick it to that fucking company. I mean, I took the high road, right? Even though I did an unspeakable
Not
thing.
really.
Yeah. But a month down the line, because they were refusing to deal with this problem, and I know we must have mentioned it before.
Well, so the toilet was blocked with shit for months.
Yeah. I mean, they would like do damage control and work it through, but whatever was causing this blockage, I don't think it's something. In the end, it wasn't something to do with the toilets. The toilets would feed into another part of draining system for like fat
It'll
and
be
this and the other.
Fat thing, yeah.
And we were having problems like draining the fat in various other places as well, and they were refusing to deal
We
with
were
it.
having problems just throwing the fat down the drain.
But it came to they finally dealt with it because it came to a fucking head, right? And these fat blockages were like so kind of catastrophically intense. They were just pushing up any like surplus liquid, and then like the customer toilets were on the same line. So every time a customer went to take a shit or a piss and flush the toilet, it'd go down, hit this line, and then it would be forced back up through the staff toilets. So.
So the customers could send you messages if they wrote something on
Potentially.
like a piece of paper and flushed
But
it.
what happened was both of those toilets basically erupted, and there was like an inch of sewage water in this. It's a small staff room as well. It's just for changing, and a lot of the kids that were working there were in the habit of kind of obnoxiously leaving all their shit on the floor, all their bags and what have you. And we told them there are coat hooks, there are lockers and what have you, and they're like, no, just do whatever the fuck they like. And all of them had to get rid of that stuff after that night, and they never did it again.
Surely, yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah, they had no way to kind of counter it. I mean, the smell of shit was bleeding out into the restaurant hall, and it was absolutely disgusting. But they didn't close the restaurant; they didn't send anyone home.
Yeah, again, no way to counter it. It's called hire a plumber.
Yeah. So what they had
The
to do
plumber
was
will cost you quite a bit of money. It's worth it.
they took the KP, who was this 19-year-old girl, and they put plastic bags on her hands and feet and sellotaped them up and just said, get in here with this fucking like ladle and just kind of mince up whatever you can to kind of stop anything from spilling out. Apparently, the managers and these KPs that were doing this were there till like 4 a.m. trying to clean this this crap up. And
wow,
they came back the
that's
next
terrible.
day. I just like, why on earth did you like not quit on the spot, love? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I feel really
quit before doing that.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you want me to fucking start waiting around and shit? I quit.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
just another way they're putting people's health at risk.
I mean, yeah, get a plumber. A plumber will do that for you.
I mean, it was a catastrophic toilet malfunction. You shouldn't keep a restaurant open after
Yeah.
that.
I mean, a commercial plumbing company, yeah, it would probably be expensive. I guess that's why they're reluctant to do it. But for God's sake,
It's
get John Taffer in from Bar Rescue to scream at them.
just shout these turds back down the toilet.
I can't help people who don't know how to wipe their own asses. He speaks like that.
Well, I
He's
will look
great.
forward to this.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, good. Yeah, that was quite good toilet talk. Thanks for that.
Yeah, nice one. I'm
Yeah.
happy to
Yeah.
oblige. I'll try and drum up
Yeah.
some news
Has-
stories for the next episode.
Well, how's your dad's toilet? Toilets, I suppose he's a man of many toilets.
He's a man of many toilets, but only one operational toilet.
Well, you know, you could only ask so much.
But in all fairness, I don't think
Yeah.
you can find the other toilets anymore. So
You
it's
mean
just
like
as
he's
well.
forgotten where they are, or there's just so much clutter?
Clutter, for sure.
Yeah.
There's
Oh, I
that
can't
one.
move that. That's a Victorian globe.
There's that one that was in the kind of entryway, just to the left of the front door, and even I forget there's supposed
Yeah,
to be a toilet
Max's
back
wank toilet. I remember that. I remember that whole ordeal.
there.
Yeah, go on.
I just wonder what it looks like in that room now. Last time I saw it, it just had hundreds of magazines stacked on the toilet bowl. But now, yeah, it's just there's a coat rack on it, and there are chairs in front of it, and it's just like I've just forgotten that that's a room of the house.
Yeah, a tiny, extremely hot room.
Yes, it'll be even
Just
hotter when I burn
cool.
that house down.
Temporarily. Well, do you have anything else to say about Is It Cack?
I can say it's cack.
Uh,
I thought our discussion was illuminating, as it always is. I don't think there's
Okay.
any way to polish that turd.
Yeah, well,
I like
no, I don't think so either.
I like the insulin blood sport angle. I think that's the strongest way for that show to go forward.
Yeah, I mean, you could even have sort of like a team element to it, where whilst they're climbing up their climbing frame, doing all this stuff, hunting for their insulin, they've also got a teammate who's got like a dart gun, and the darts have insulin in them, and they're trying to get them, trying to help them by giving them insulin boosts.
But they're like 200 yards away, so
Yes.
and they're all smokers as well.
Yeah, and it's more like an insulin machine gun. Like, it's on full automatic, and there's no way to stop it.
So they're just riddled with needles at the end of the range.
Tiny, yes, yeah. People go blind and everything. Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, Bloodsport, you said. Or you could do like proper, like gladiatorial, cage fighting type combat, but the rules are you have to use cakes found here in this room, in this cage fighting room, for weapons. You can't do anything else. You can't do any wrestling moves. You can't hit. You can't kick. It has to be smashing cakes into each other's faces. Maybe doing like belly flops with cakes. Smothering people with cakes.
Yeah, I think that's the only way you could really weaponize a cake, unless you make them
Well,
eat.
but you bake your own cakes, so maybe you could try and make like shuriken star cakes with some. Ooh, that's got some really sharp glazing on it. Ow, and delicious.
It might break the skin. I don't think it's going
Yeah.
to be lethal though.
No, but this lasts days until someone is dead.
So you just need one offensive wound and hope they bleed out over the next few days.
Or I suppose there'll be cake getting into the wounds and stuff. Maybe gangrene. septicemia.
You have 96 hours to kill your opponent using whatever you can find in the pantry.
Yeah, maybe you could actually be kind of clever, couldn't you? And like make bonbons with like dust, like lead dusting, and then like try and blow the bonbon dust into your opponent's face and give them lead poisoning. Things like that.
Okay, yeah. I think the most efficient way to go would be to just boil some like sugar syrup, because that could be quite dangerous. And like if you could like scald someone, get it in the eyes in particular, that's blinded for life for sure.
Okay. So maybe then bake a cake that can project that somehow, like a cake catapult.
Well, maybe someone's trying to find a loophole here. It's part of the baking process, and whatever you're using during those steps, can you use that as a weapon? I don't know. They're very kind of loosey-goosey in the rules, but a couple of contestants kind of try and see a way through.
Well, you mean they'll like use eggs or something?
No, I mean they'll get their sugar syrup working for some nice decorations and what have you, and then just be like, bam!
Straight in the eyes.
Straight in the eyes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I suppose you could make like super hot, like you could make toasties full of jam and try and scald people with them. Try and, I don't know, make a rock cake and grind it into a shiv.
Just like out of an actual rock and make them eat it. Death by choking.
Just a very well cooked cake. Yeah, you could like completely overdo some bread buns and then it's clobbering time. Something like that.
Or just expose them. It's something that's really, really, really burnt, right? So it has like these. It's just blackened. And you got all the like acrylamides and what have you, which are known to cause stomach cancer and play a much longer game.
It's like a 3-year battle of who will die of cake-related cancer. Yeah. Well, final note is, do you want that cake? I want it. Do you want that cake? I want it.
I want the cake! That's my piece.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we're done.
We are indeed. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.